Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. Now I finally made a decision about the chickens. So in this episode I will be going through my new plans and I'll also be planting an apple tree. Just hang my bag up and then we get to it. Right, so I know a few of you have been wondering about the chickens, and I don't know if you follow my blog or Instagram or anything like that, but I have decided not to keep chickens, unfortunately, even though I really want chickens. I just think it's best for now not to get them. And it's mainly down to time, because I've just set up the shop over on the blog, and because we've been doing lots of garden shows and garden fairs nearly every weekend now, and most of the time, you know, we're away for the whole weekend. There's actually one this weekend at Woburn Sands, the Woburn Sands Garden Show. That's a 2-day event, so we'll be away for the whole weekend, which means if I had chickens then I don't have anyone who could look after them, because obviously I do the garden shows with my dad, so he couldn't come and look after them. So I think it would just be really cruel if I got chickens right now at this stage of my life, because I can't give them the time that they need. So I think it's best if I don't get chickens right now. I would love chickens in the future, and you never know, my dream might come true of holding having a small holding and being surrounded by chickens and lots of other animals and flowers. But for now, I'm just going to put the whole chicken thing on hold, which gives me that whole area where the chickens are going to go completely free. So I can pretty much do what I want with it, which is very exciting, because I do have big plans for it, and it does involve flowers, lots and lots of flowers. But I will go through the plans with you in a minute. I'm just going to have a cup of tea, because I thought I'd get down here quite early, get some jobs done before work, and I always need a cup of tea in the morning. I can't work without a cup of tea in the morning, so I'm going to put the kettle on, I'm going to have a cup of tea, and then I will reveal the big plans that I have for the new, I would call it the chicken area, but it probably was never the chicken area because it never had chickens in it. But I will be going through the plans for the new flower meadow. So this is the area where the chickens were going to go, but obviously they're not going to go here now, so I had to think of some new plans. Now the plans which I had before I ever thought about getting chickens was to have a sort of a wildflower meadow, so that is what I'm going to do with this area again, although it's not going to be a completely wildflower meadow, just because the area is not that big. I'm going to have some perennials and some annuals in here as well. The area actually measures 3 meters deep by just under 4 meters wide, so it's plenty big enough. And the main idea is to have a sort of walkway here between the chimney pot and the flower pot, so I can walk in, and then there'll be like a circular oval area in the centre where I can put a table and chairs and sit there in the summer, because obviously I've got my cooker in the shed, so I can harvest some fresh potatoes and beans, cook them in the cooker, and then come and eat them out here. That's the plan anyway. And then what I might do is either have that area either grass or use a wildflower mix. Now I found a seed packet at home. It's a couple of years old, but it is a lawn wildflower mix, so the flowers don't go very tall. So I'm very tempted to do that just because I think it will look quite nice. And then it will just be a matter of putting some perennials and annuals just around the edge. Now I already have quite a few flowers, and obviously I planted up that flower bed at the end, so quite a few of them are going to have to move. Now there's borage, there's ranunculus, there's calendula, cosmos, there's malop, there's junior sunflowers, there's a giant sunflower, verbena, bunny's tail grass, there's Linarium morocana, there's a delphinium, there's a foxglove, there's a poppy, there's a scabious, there's oxeye daisies. There's quite a lot in there, so obviously I'll be able to move some and put them around the edge. But I also have some new flowers. Now I got quite a few of these from a car boot just because they were so cheap. I mean, these dahlias, they were £2.50 each, which is just crazy. And then I got another verbena Bonnieris. This was £1 from the car boot. I mean, look how big it is, and it's just starting to flower as well, so you really can't beat getting a bargain from the car boot. What I've also got, there's another dahlia I grew from the bulb from the Gardener's World show. That was a couple of weeks ago, I think. I got this ladybird poppy, which is just on its way out now, but hopefully next year that will produce lots of lovely flowers. And I also got this allium. Now I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is so beautiful. The flowers are quite small, but I've got a thing with flowers on long stems with just a little flower on the top, but I think they look really nice and they add some height. I actually do have quite a lot of tall flowers, so I need to look into maybe getting some lower ones just to fill in the gaps. So that's all I got so far. I think it's just going to be a matter of placing things around. I mean, I need to dig this area yet because I let it get really weedy because I thought that the chickens would obviously clear it, but now I'm going to have to clear it. So I have been doing it. But there's just loads of chamomile. I mean, it's all starting to die off now, but chamomile. And it did look really, really pretty. I did feel a bit guilty digging it up, but what I want to do is just dig this whole area, plan out where that little meadow bit is going in the middle, and then I can arrange the flowers around the outside. Now obviously I don't want to go too near to the archway because the pumpkins will be climbing up there, and I need to get around this side to pick them, so I might put tall ones around this corner and then put some lower flowers around there so I can pick the munchkin pumpkins from the archway. And also what I want to do in this area is mix in some vegetables. So I have some asparagus. Now, I always wanted to grow asparagus, but it's one of those vegetables which you don't move, so obviously it's perennial. So it needs to be somewhere where it can stay, so I thought if I find a little area here in this flower patch, then it can just stay there. And I think I might have to move the globe artichoke because that's in the corner. I might move that somewhere because there's plans for this corner in particular. This is where the main feature of the area is going to go, and that is going to be an apple tree. It's going to go about here where this yellow dahlia is, and hopefully in many years to come it will spread out a little bit and create a nice little bit of shade, because I don't get any shade on this plot at all. The sun sort of goes up this way, so the apple tree being there will create a nice little shaded area for me to sit in. Hopefully anyway. It will be many moons until that happens, but I've always wanted an apple tree, so I thought, why not? I'll put one there. And I think that's just about the plans for this area. So lots of flowers, lots of vegetables, an apple tree. Oh, and I also want to maybe put a small compost bin here, and I really want one that looks like a beehive. Just because I think it will help make this area look a little bit more wild. So there's going to be a compost bin, and I want to make this area as wildlife friendly as possible. So what I might do is build a bug hotel, build a hedgehog house, and just have them dotted around. Maybe put like a bug hotel here and put a hedgehog house over there. Just have them in amongst the flowers so they're nice and hidden. Maybe have like a bird bath somewhere. Just things like that. I want this area to just look wild, and I want the bees to love it and all the wildlife to love it. I want myself to love it. But yeah, that's the plans for this area, and I'm so excited. I just can't wait to get started. But first things first is to get the apple tree in, because I bought the apple tree the other day. So I'm going to just clear these flowers out the way, and then we will get the apple tree in. So this is my apple tree. Now the variety which I've chosen is called James Grieve. Now it took me a little while to decide on a variety, just because there's so many, but I was very adamant on getting a Bramley apple tree, just because I've always wanted a Bramley apple tree, and also because I really like cooking apples, apple crumbles and apple pies. But when I went to the garden centre, I decided on a James Grieve, just because they're good for eating, they're good for juicing, they're good for cider making, and they're good for cooking. So I mean, you get 4 in 1, which is great. Now there were 3 different rootstocks to choose from. There was M27, M26 and MM106. Now I was all set on getting a dwarf variety. Now M27 is very dwarf, and M26 is semi-dwarf, and the MM106 is half standard. So I was going to get a dwarf one, but then I realised that the trunk wouldn't grow very high. I think the trunk was about here, so once it was in the ground, the trunk would be here, and then obviously the branches would stem off there. But I really wanted a high trunk, so I could maybe sit under the tree and eat a freshly picked apple. So I chose the MM106. Now, in about 10 years time, it will grow to 8 to 10 foot, but you can prune it back. So the idea is to have it roughly about here, so the branches can grow out and not go past my fence perimeter. So there's about 1.5 meters each way. So there'll be enough there, because I don't want the branches to go out and to obviously go over other people's plots. And obviously the shadow will be going this way, so it won't sort of interrupt anyone's growing, which is perfect. It'll be a long time until this is 8 to 10 foot anyway, so it will be really great, and I think it will look really nice there. And also what I will mention about the James Grieve is that it's self-fertile, which is great if you don't have any apple trees, because apple trees, you need at least 2 on most varieties for them to pollinate. On the Bramley you needed 3 apple trees to pollinate the Bramley, but this one's self-fertile, so it can pollinate itself. But I mean, there's 2 apple trees over there, and there's like a mini orchard going on over here, so it's fine. But I chose the James Grieve just because I quite like the idea of picking an apple and then sitting down and eating it. And maybe I get a Bramley later on in life, you never know. So that's going to go about there, so then the little grass area can sort of go up to it. I think it'll look really nice. maybe I could put a birdhouse on it when it's a bit bigger. Not now because it's far too small. Right, so let's get it in. So I think it's going to go about there. Yes. So what you want to do with apple trees, oh, let me just get it down so it doesn't fall over. It's fallen over a couple of times now and I've lost some apples because there's quite a few apples on there already. Right, let's lean it up against the arch tree. Right, so I might need to move some of these flowers first. Because I didn't plan on having an apple tree here before. I think these flowers will be fine moved anyway. If I just place them over there and then I can put them back in when I've finished putting the apple tree in. Right, so when planting apple trees or any tree, you need to dig a hole that's not as deep as the root system in the pot now, but it needs to be twice as big as the root system, just to allow those roots to grow. So you want a nice big hole. Now I watered the apple tree in its pot because you don't want the roots to dry out at all. So what I'll do is I'll dig this hole and then I will give the hole a quick water, just because the soil here gets ever so dry. Because it gets the sun all the time, there's no shade. Right, let's see if that's deep enough. Perfect. So I'm just going to give the hole a quick water. If the apple tree doesn't fall over again. Now it's not too dry, but it'll just stop the tree from stressing out when I put it in the hole. So the hole's been watered, the plant's been watered. So it's time to get it in. Now, what I'm going to do with this is stake it in a minute because it's so young and it's quite tall, and because the wind's blown it over in the pot already. I'm going to use a stake to stake it in, and the stake will stay there for about 4 years probably. That bamboo out. So you want to take out the pot, just tap the pot. Just give the roots a little bit of a tease underneath. And at the sides. What you can do is scrape away the soil on the top, just so you can see where those roots flare out, because where the roots flare out you want them to sit level with the soil. Now that's too deep, so I'll just put some more soil back in. Now that's about perfect. So where the roots flare out, that's where you want them to be level with the soil. And then it's just a matter of filling it back in. Now, if you've got a bare-rooted apple tree, the best time to plant that is when it's dormant, so around September time. Because this was containerised, you can plant them whenever really, although it is preferred to do it when they're dormant. You can do them whenever. Which is good. It'll be good to get this in, then I can start planting the flowers around it. Check that's in the right place before I fill it in too much. Yep, that's perfect. It's going to look really nice. That's exciting. It's probably best to do this with two people because then one can hold the tree upright. You just heel it in as you go, just to keep it steady. You want to make sure all the soil gets in amongst those roots. And around the back. Now when I chose this tree, I made sure that I got one with a nice long straight primary stem, because obviously that will be the trunk later on. It just so happened that it's got like loads of nice secondary shoots with apples on. So you never know, might get an apple harvest this year. Let's get around here. A little bit more around that back bit. You need to really dig this area and just level it all off, because it's very humpy pumpy. So I think that's about it. So what I'll do is I'm just going to put this stake in. I've got the stake from the garden centre and a tree tie as well. So the best thing to do when staking them is to do it at an angle so you don't disturb the roots. So this will be going at a 45-degree angle. And it's also best to do it so the stake's pointing towards the wind, because once the tree is tied on, if it does blow around, then hopefully it will push the stake in a bit more. But it's just there to support the tree, so the tree can grow nice and straight and nice and strong, and then hopefully we'll have a really nice strong trunk on this tree when it's older. So I'm going to get the stake in, and then I'm going to give it a good water, and I think it's time for a cup of tea. So now that the tree's all in and it's staked nice and strong, I need to sort out the flowers, because there's a few of the flowers which I bought which have been in their pots for about a week now, and they really need to get out. So what I might do is just place them around this area. I'm not going to surround the tree at all, because I'm going to let the roots develop and settle before I bombard it with other flowers that will obviously take the nutrients away from the apple tree. I might leave that area like that for now, because I don't think I'm going to get a compost bin anytime soon. But obviously, if I put flowers in, I can move them later on. It's perfectly fine. But what I might do is I might just move this big pile of weeds over here to the centre bit. I might dig that little bit because it's still a bit weedy, and then I might place some of the flowers around there, just because that's too chock-a-block right now. There's only really the verbena, the allium, the 3 dahlias, and the poppy. Oh yeah, the poppy needs to go in, and I might try and come up another day and put the asparagus in, because I really don't know what I'm doing with the asparagus. I've never grown asparagus before, but I saw it at the garden centre, and I thought I'll try it, because my dad tried to grow it last year. He bought the asparagus, the bulbs, but nothing appeared, so I thought I'd buy it as a plant, just to cheat a little bit. But that's obviously going to go somewhere, but I might try and get that in a couple of days. I'll sort the flowers out, because they really need planting out. So I'm just going to sort of dot them around. I'll probably put a verbena over here, because there's one there, just to space them up a bit. So yeah, I'm going to weed and I'm going to put the flowers in. So I'm just going to water in the flowers which I've just planted, and maybe give the apple tree another quick water, and then I think I will call it a day. There's still a little bit more to do. I need to clear this bit, obviously, plan out a bit better. But what I will do is, once I've finalised the plans and drawn them all up, I will pop them up on the blog. So if you want to have a look, then just head over there. And it should be up, because it does take me a while to plan, because I am such a perfectionist. But I will pop the whole plan and all the flowers which I'm going to be growing over on the blog. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.